It's an absolute travesty, ladies and gentlemen. An absolute travesty. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, I'm looking on YouTube this past week, and I think I've seen, like, I don't know, 37,000 videos on Luffy and what's going to happen with him next in the story. It's all about Luffy. Luffy, 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 Luffy. You know what? Like, okay, Luffy's the main character. He's been around for a while now. I have not seen a single video, not a single person talking about what Kaido must be going through right now. Does anybody care about Kaido? I mean, come on now. Yeah, whatever. Luffy got knocked out. Oh no, doom and despair will fall all over Wano now. Whatever. Kaido has been dealing with this crap for decades right now, okay? He was fighting against Odin. He was having the time of his life. And then, boom. It is the victory that he so wanted just got ripped right out of his dragon claws. And now here, 20 years later, 2 decades have passed, and now he's finally having a chance for redemption, a moment where he can finally enjoy the fight to its fullest extent. Whether or not he wins or he loses, he's having the time of his life. And right when that final clash is about to happen, passes right through his claws once more. I want to sing to you guys a song. It's a song that I think really captures this moment perfectly in One Piece. A song from my generation. A song that I listened to quite a bit back in my younger days. I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. One thing, I don't know why. Oh man, I just want to sing the whole song now. But anyway, no. So, by the way, that song is almost 21 years old. I know, right? Us 90s kids were getting there. I came out in 2001. I mean, I can still remember the first time I heard that song. I was over at a birthday party in my friend's house, and they had that song playing, and I'm like, what is this? And they were just like, it's the future, Matt. It's the future of music. I'm like, okay. Anyway, no, but seriously, I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, Kaido did try hard, and he got very far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I mean, that really works for this one particular instance, okay? So, the thing is, Kaido, he's a drunk. Like, let's just, I mean, I'm not saying that to be funny. I mean, he is a drunk, okay? And the reason, I think, partly because of that, or there's probably a few reasons. In fact, when we did the mini reverie the other day, we were going down a list of a bunch of different reasons why Kaido is actually drunk. But I think one of the reasons is probably the fight with Odin, definitely. Back in Kaido's earlier years, he didn't seem to be as much of a drunk. I mean, he definitely enjoyed some sake, but it didn't seem like he was as bad as he is now, where he goes through all the different drunk phases and everything like that. I think after the fight with Odin, and eventually, after the Hour of Legends, after Odin finally died, after Kaido did finally shoot him and end his life, Kaido realized, like, that man that I just shot was probably going to be my only chance at having a real fight, to really contend to my skills and be, like, on even level. And like, if Kaido and Odin's fight had ended on more fair terms, I mean, Kaido still might have won. I mean, let's just not throw that out there. Like, Odin would have 100% definitely have defeated Kaido. His chances were really good, but, Kaido still might have won out, even though, even if Odin wasn't distracted by Higurashi there, right? But that's not what Kaido wants. He wants to have that fight to the very bitter end, okay? It doesn't matter what the outcome is. Even if he lost, if it was a fair fight, Kaido would take that loss onto himself 100%, and he would accept it, and he'd be like, man, that was an awesome fight. I don't even care that I lost. It was fair and square. Hey, do you want to fight again sometime? Like, that's what Kaido is all about. That's at least part of what his character is, right? And so he had to deal with that outcome, and knowing that somebody like Odin was not going to be around for at least another 20 years. Because Kaido knew a little bit about the prophecy and everything like that. Of course, Toki spoke about, like, in 20 years, the scabbards will return and they'll bring about the flames of rebellion, and Kaido and Orochi will fall. You just have to hold out hope for 20 years. Now, the way Orochi took that prophecy was to be absolutely terrified by it. Like, the ghosts of the past were haunting Orochi's dreams for 20 years. Kaido took it a different way. Kaido, I feel like, for one thing, didn't believe the prophecy as much as Orochi did, because Orochi Orochi was 100% paranoid that in 20 years something was going to happen, right? And Kaido was like, well, I mean, it might not, but he was sort of optimistic. He was sort of looking forward to it. He's like, well, I don't know if I want to believe in time travel, but if time travel is real and they really did get sent into the future, don't kill them when they arrive here right away. I want to talk to them, right? I want to see where this is going to go, right? And then, of course, when the Straw Hats finally make their appearance, Kaido beats Luffy in, one shot during their initial encounter back at Okobore Town, and then eventually, rises and breaks out of the prison and comes back and fights Kaido again. Kaido, not at first. He didn't really look at Luffy like, oh, I sense something from him. He's going to be the next Kozuki Oden. Kaido didn't feel that right away from Luffy. In fact, after the initial attack, he was a little bit impressed because, well, Luffy didn't die right away. Plus, even while unconscious, Luffy was able to initiate that shock of Conqueror's Haki back at Okobore Town. And so Kaido was like, oh, all right, I guess he's got some qualities from him that might make like a good soldier or a good slave at the very least. Throw him in the Udon prison, right? And maybe he'll submit to us and he'll, rise through the ranks. Maybe Luffy will be the next Tobi Roppo or whatever, right? Kind of like what happened with Drake. And I think it really wasn't even until halfway through the fight with the Worst Generation when, like, Kid and Law and Killer and Zoro and Luffy were all fighting Kaido together. It was like halfway through that brawl that Kaido started to really see Oden in Luffy. He had that moment where he looked at Luffy and all the images of, like all these strong pirates like Roger and Zebek and Oden himself and, like, Shanks and everybody started appearing behind Luffy. And then Kaido was like, just how high of a ceiling do you wish to reach? I think that was the first moment where Kaido started to realize this Straw Hat Luffy kid, he might actually be a decent fight. He might actually be able to hold a candle to Oden, And so that fight continues. Luffy starts to get a handle on his conquerors and his armament, and then Kaido just knocks him off the side of Onigashima. And he's like, oh, I guess you couldn't be Joy Boy either or whatever. But, once again, I feel like there was like a little voice inside of Kaido's head that was like, you know what? This is a test. This is a challenge because Kaido is the gatekeeper of all this, right? It's like, I knocked him off of Onigashima. I beat him 2 times in a row now. And it's like, if he could somehow manage to get back up here, then I know I got a fight on my hands. Then I know this is somebody special. This is a battle that could in fact rival my clash with Oden. And I'm gonna make damn sure it ends right this time, right? That's like in Kaido's mind. And then Luffy finally does come back, riding on top of Momonosuke. And so then it's just Luffy and Kaido back again to the brawl. And that's when Kaido finally, like, he's not the kind of guy, I mean, he has to be really wicked drunk to be, like, giddy, like, happy. And just like, oh my god, this is so much fun, I'm happy. Oh, punching the crap out of Luffy. Luffy's punching him. Kind of a combination between his sexy drunk phase and his laughing drunk phase. Something like that. But it doesn't matter. He was really happy, okay? He was having the time of his life, He's drunk as shit, and he's fighting against an Oden-level opponent. This is great for Kaido, right? He's having a blast. And once again, let's say that Cypher Pull Zero agent never interfered, okay? Let's say, the final clash between Kaido and Luffy just continued without interruptions, all right? At first, I was assuming that Luffy's attack would have been the attack to take Kaido down, and it might have been, but it also might not have been. I mean, Kaido's attack, let's say Kaido was just a millisecond faster than Luffy's over Kong gun was. His Supreme King, Kong gun or whatever. Let's say Kaido was just slightly faster, and even without the Cypher Pull Zero's interference, he was still able to bring down the Kanabo and hit Luffy, right? The outcome would have been the same. Luffy still would have gotten knocked out, and we would have led to, the conclusion of chapter 1043, just like we're at right now, pretty much. The only real difference there, actually, is Kaido would not have been nearly as upset as he is now. And I want to read through Kaido's speech because I feel like with the last chapter, chapter 1043, with the thing that happened at the very end of the climax, the cliffhanger with Luffy, that's what everybody kind of focuses on. But I really do want to break down Kaido's speech here and go through that, okay? So I want to go through this, and then I'm going to talk about what would have happened if the fight ended fairly, you know, without any interruptions. Okay, so this is what happens, all right? So after Kaido defeats Luffy, it wasn't a victory he wanted, but it's the victory he received. And then he, you know, hits the CP0 agent. He turns back into a giant dragon. He heads down to the festival hall. Everybody's shocked and stunned, but, you know, the soldiers, you know, the beast pirates are so happy and ecstatic. You know, it's like, yeah, Lord Kaido, he kicked his ass, just like I told you, right? And Kaido's pissed. Kaido is pissed off. He's just like, listen, where is your leader? I must speak to Momonosuke this instant. I want his unconditional surrender. If there are any conditions in his surrender, I will have none of them. I'm tired of this. And he says, Straw Hat Luffy is dead. If anyone else wishes to challenge me, step forward. That right there, I think, is Kaido's, like, last desperate plea for, like, somebody make this meaningful. Somebody make this a little bit better than what it turned out to be, where this fight with Luffy ended the exact same way my fight with Odin did. I am, like, Kaido is feeling at his worst right now, okay? And he's like, if anybody, I implore you, if anybody at Onigashima could give me something of a fight to sort of make up for, I mean, nothing's really going to make up for it, but like something to make it a little bit better, please step forward. And the person that actually does it is Nami. Nami is the one that steps up to Kaido and says, there is no way Luffy lost. There is no way that happened. You're a liar. And Kaido's response is actually, hey, at least one of you has some moxie. Moxie, that's a fun word. It actually used to be a drink. Moxie. But no, anyway, Kaido is actually, like, staring down Nami, and he's like, okay, at least somebody steps forward, you know, for my challenge. All right, let's see what you got. Boro Breath! And he launches a Boro Breath at Nami. Of course, Marco blocks it. But still, that's just Kaido being like, you know, I want to have something to, you know, say that I had a fight today, you know, something to make me feel better. Marco blocks the shot, of course, and he says, you know, don't lose composure. We're not done yet. We're not through yet. And then Kaido continues his speech. He laughs, and he's just like, you know, Onigashima will fall upon the Flower Capital. You know, I am going to finally drop this island on the Flower Capital, want to become my pirate paradise, and unlike Orochi, I am no pushover, right? I think in the review I said, like, you know, oh, you're gonna think Orochi was Santa Claus compared to me, right? This entire country is one gigantic weapons factory that is all you are to me. You are the workers of those factories. You're like the gears that keep the factory going. If one falls off, I just replace it. You are nothing to me, right? You know, he's talking about the samurai's families. He doesn't care. He just, like, they're your entire families. I don't care who they are. They are all going to work as slaves for me until they die. And when they do, I will replace them. Your lives are, that's all they're worth. Okay, your lives now are worth what you can do in my factories, and that is it. Okay, you dared fight back against me, and you have earned my wrath. That is what it means to lose in a war. You knew the cost of your defeat, and that means that your freedom is forfeit. You know, you knew what you were getting into when you decided to form your little band of samurai and ninjas and pirates and all that, and minks, and come storming into my festival, my home, and declare a fight with me. All right, you knew what was on the line, and you lost, and it's time to accept that, you know? Bring Momonosuke to me. The battle is not over until I deal with him. And then we proceed with, you know, the other scenes of the chapter. You know, the Beast Pirates kind of get, you know, re-energized to fight. They charge. We have the scenes with Neko and some of the samurai. Law and Kid are there and everything like that. Okay. So that's where Kaido's at right now. Now, once again, as I said in the review, I think that's a little bit of intimidation to really hurt the morale of the overall rebellion, because I do feel like, let me ask you that, like, where do you think Kaido's health is at right now? I do this every few videos, like, let's get an HP check for Kaido, right? Like, is he in the red yet? You know, out of a scale of 1 to 100, you know, 1 being like right about to pass out and 100 being, you know, full power Kaido, you know, where is Kaido at right now? I would say he's definitely below 25%. He's definitely, in Pokemon terms, he would be in the red right now. You know, if best case scenario, he might even be below 10% right now, right? And he just doesn't show the pain, but he turns into a dragon. He's just trying to intimidate everybody. So they all put down their swords and they don't fight. You know, because maybe part of him also knows that he can't really deal with a full-on, like, if they all charge him at once, you know, it might not work. He might not actually win that fight, but that might not be how Kaido wants to win. But Kaido at the end of the day is like, you know what? At least I can drop Onigashima on the Flower Capital and kill Momonosuke, and my plan can resume, and maybe that'll give me a little bit of solace. Probably not, but that's the best Kaido can really think of right now if there's nobody strong enough to actually challenge him anymore, right? And hey, you know what? Something else that I just realized while editing this is that this is both times now, once with Higurashi Kurozumi, and then the next one with the CP0 agent, Fred, or whatever you want to call him. Both of those times, they used and manipulated Kaido so that he could take out one of their enemies for their own ends. Okay, Higurashi transformed into Momo to distract Odin so Kaido could finish Odin off, and so that way Orochi could, you know, stay on the throne, and their power trip to, like, take over Wano could be completed and everything like that. And then the government ordered the Cypher Pool Zero agent to basically, you know, okay, something you have to do is eliminate Straw Hat Luffy, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna use Kaido in order to defeat Luffy, because I can't do it on my own, so I'll just make it so Kaido defeats him for me. So that's both times. And Kaido's not an idiot. He knows what's going on here. He knows why Higurashi, you know, turned into Momo and distracted Odin. It's just like, oh, it's so, you know, Orochi could stay in power. And then here with the Cypher Pool Zero agent, he looked at the Cypher Pool Zero agent like, now the government is getting involved in my fight. You know, Kaido is probably sick and tired of being used and manipulated by other factions. Like they're not strong enough, so they have to use Kaido's strength against his will in order to finish off these really strong opponents. And Kaido is tired of that shit, all right? So that's another reason just to add to Kaido's stress as of late. What about if the fight with Luffy and him ended a different way? Where the final clash resumed, let's say Luffy did hit him with the Overkong gun, it just wasn't enough to take him down. And then Kaido hit him with his Roaring Thunder Bagura, and it was enough to knock down Luffy. He hits the ground, and his voice goes silent just like it did in this chapter. What would Kaido have said then? Well, I think it would have been a similar speech, but he would have been a lot more, like, not upset, but there would have been a little bit of remorse there in the sense of, like, let's say he thought he killed Luffy. Like, if he didn't just think he knocked Luffy out, like he thought he was straight up dead, which he also feels here. He thinks he straight up killed Luffy. If he descends and he's just like, okay, I had a fight, I had the final battle with your leader, with your captain, Straw Hat Luffy. I defeated him. In fair combat, he is dead. I think he still would have done the same basic thing, but it's possible he might have had maybe a little bit of leniency for maybe the other pirates there. It's possible Kaido might have been like, hey, you know, Straw Hat Luffy gave his life. You know, he gave me a really, really tough fight. That was the most fun I've ever had in years and years and years. You know what? If you are not a native to Wano Kuni, if you do not live in this nation, if this nation is not a place you call home, get out of here. I just get out of here, just leave, you know? But everybody else is here. You're going to work for me now, right? It also might have played to the thing where Kaido always thinks that, you know, pirates will always betray you. When the chips are down, you can never rely on a pirate to be honor-bound to their word or whatever. They will always abandon you, right? So it might be Kaido's way of, like, disheartening the samurai. You know, like, you know, Kid's crew, Law's crew, the rest of the Straw Hats, get out of here, you know? Everybody else is going to work for me. You guys get to leave. And it might be a thing like Kaido thinks that they might leave. And then when they do that, like, all the samurai are going to be like, no, we were betrayed. And then Kaido's like, war, war, war. Oh, yes, it is now the dawn of my society, right? Now, even if Kaido did do that, which I'm not even confident he would have, but if he did say that, if he did give them the choice to just leave, of course, the Straw Hats would not have done that. I don't even think Kid or the Heart Pirates definitely would not have. The Heart Pirates would have definitely skipped out. Beppo would be like, oh, okay, let's go. No, they all would have stayed. They all would have stayed to be like, hey, even if you're giving us that way out, we can't take it. All right, we've already dedicated ourselves to this battle. We've kind of resigned our fates to be with the samurai at this point, whether we like it or not. Here's what we're doing. So I think it would have been a very similar encounter to this. Nami would have still probably even spoken up because Kaido would have still said, Straw Hat is dead. I fought him to the last, and he's dead now. Nami would have still stepped up to Kaido. And so I think a lot of this would have been the same. It's just that Kaido might have been maybe feeling a little bit more generous because he did finally have the fight that he wanted. But also think of it this way. Even without the interruption, Kaido was having this awesome fight, and it still ended. And even though he felt like that rush of battle and that rush of victory, he's still like, okay, I won. Crap. Even though I won, like, when am I ever going to feel this again, right? All right, you know what? I won. I had a really fun fight. It ended fair and square, but yeah. All right, you're all my slaves now. That's I guess how it would have gone. Oh, man. So, I think, honestly, I still do think that Kaido's words there, though, like how he was just, like, driving the nail into the coffin for all of the samurai, like, you and all of your families, everybody that you love and care about is going to be working for me now to the death. I think that was actually something that's actually going to empower the samurai rather than discourage them, as Yamato said. In fact, I have the chapter up, so I'll just pull it up here now. So Momonosuke is talking to Yamato and like, should I just surrender? Should I just wave the white flag? I can't really think of any other thing to do now because we'll just, we'll be slaves, but still we'll be alive. And Yamato's like, I won't let you do that. This is what the daimyo from all over Wano did when they gave their lives fighting back against Orochi. The last 20 years of Wano is riding upon this battle. If you're going to let it go to waste, then let's face death together. So it's like, if your choice is working to death in factories until your body just gives out, or just giving up right here, and not giving up, but just fighting to the last in this battle, let's just do that. And I think the mindset of the samurai might be very similar to that as well. Maybe some of the Straw Hats, maybe Marco might sort of rally everybody together. Maybe some of the samurai are having second thoughts, because there were a few samurais that were like thinking about like, oh no, I forgot about my wife and my kids, what'll happen to them, right? So they might be a little bit, I don't know about this, maybe we should give up. Maybe one of the Straw Hats or somebody will like speak up and be like, no, we still have to fight to the last, one final push, one final charge. Have it be Kawamatsu. Have that be Kawamatsu's moment for this arc. Actually, that would be perfect for him, because Kawamatsu was in prison for 13-something years, and he never gave up hope, right? So have something like that for Kawamatsu. Kawamatsu is the one that speaks up. Maybe Hyo there, too. Hyo and Kawamatsu together are the ones that rally the samurai together. Like, okay, fine, whatever. We knew what we came here for, guys. One final attack, rah! And then so Kaido's like, yeah, whatever. And then the fight, resumes there. I don't know. But, yeah, I just feel like, with everything that went down in the last chapter, the focus is mainly on Luffy, because, obviously, from what happened at the end of the chapter. But Kaido's going through some stuff here, and so I just wanted to bring that up before we move on, you know what I mean? Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and now we got ourselves some Froggy Facts. Cue that intro.
Tekking. Frog facts, frog facts, frog facts. Frog facts.
Yes, okay. So today we're talking about, last time we talked about the frog from hell, the devil's frog. Now we're talking about the horror frog. Who comes up with these nicknames? But horror frog is not its only nickname, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no. Its other nickname, anybody a fan of Marvel Comics, specifically X-Men? You'll get a kick out of this. The other name it has is the Wolverine frog. Do-do-do, do-do. That's not the X-Men theme. That's the animated Spider-Man theme from the whatever. That's still cool. Do-do-do, do-do. And then that's an awesome guitar riff. Okay, so X-Men frog, Wolverine frog. Okay, also known as just the actual name of it, the hairy frog. Okay, because it does seem to have hair growing off of the sides of its body. Rather unusual for an amphibian. So let's see what's going on here. Well, the hairy frog is native to Central Africa, around Cameroon. They are not endangered, so they're thriving right now, doing pretty well. Despite the fact that the native peoples of that area do in fact eat them as food. Also, there's a superstition with these tribes that these frogs actually fall from the sky, and if you eat one, it will help infertile couples have children. So that's an interesting little factoid. Now, the situation with the hair growing on the side of their bodies, though, it's not actually hair. It's a dermal papillae. I don't know how to exactly say that. But basically, the hair actually has arteries and, like, blood vessels inside of them. And they only grow them through certain phases of the frog's life. But what it basically does is it acts as gills to better absorb oxygen. And the reason it's thought to exist that way is because the males, and it's only the males that will develop this hair, like appendages on the side of their body, is because the males will actually spend an extended amount of time with the eggs. So the female will lay the eggs in the water, and the male will kind of work as like a bodyguard for the eggs for an extended period of time until the eggs hatch and become tadpoles. And so that's the reason why it develops these hairs that have blood vessels in them better to absorb oxygen, so it can just thrive better while it's guarding the eggs. When the eggs do hatch and become tadpoles, the tadpoles have teeth, and they are carnivorous. And so at first I thought this was going like, are they going to devour each other, which they might. But also, so you have just the tadpoles, like the initial stage of these frogs devouring insects and stuff. So, you know, pretty terrifying stuff there. Now, that's the reason it's called the hairy frog. But why is it called the Wolverine frog? Well, it's because it has a very unique self-defense mechanism that I think is... I did some research on this, and by research, I mean I checked Wikipedia, but there's only one other species, and it's also a frog species, that has a defensive trait that's even similar to this, okay? So, the hairy frogs have the ability to extend a claw out of their hands and, you know, use that to defend themselves against a predator. If the predator were to, like, attack them or, you know, eat them, you know, it can, like, stab whatever's trying to eat it and it can get free, okay? However, this is a little bit different from your average claw for an animal. It's not the same thing as a lion's claw or a bear's claw, because those are made out of keratin, the same material that your fingernails and your toenails are made out of, right? Just like the tusks of an elephant are also made out of keratin, okay? These claws are not made out of keratin. They are the literal bones of this frog. And in order to even activate this claw to come out, this like Wolverine adamantium claw to come out, it literally has to break its bone in the process and then stab the bone through its skin. So this is a crazy self-defense mechanism. This is insanity, really. It's like Kimimaru from Naruto. Like, seriously, these frogs have the Kekkei Genkai of Kaguya's clan, all right? Seriously. Where, like, when they're being attacked, they have to make the decision to, like, snap part of their bone and then have it pierce their skin to have this bone claw to, like, stab an enemy. That is hardcore. And there's no way to retract it. At least so far, with all the research, there's no way to, like, they can just retract the bone and have it come out. It's like literally having a broken bone. Like, eventually the bone will retract through, like slowly through a course of, you know, several days or whatever, several weeks. I don't know how long it takes. But eventually it'll passively retract and then the skin will heal over it. But yeah, imagine if you had that ability, though. Imagine if human beings had that ability where anytime you wanted to, like, you can make a blade of bone come out of your hand if you're being attacked or something. But in order to do that, you literally have to, like, ah! Ah! You know, like, you know, you crack your wrist and you break your wrist, but in the process, this bone blade, like, shoots out. Or, like, your cars from JoJo or something. Like, all right, you're coming at me with that knife. I don't have a knife. Ah! Okay, let's fight, buddy. Let's go! You know, like, if you had that ability, I don't know, but would you want it? I mean, I guess, and then it will heal over time. It'll just take a really long time for the bone to, like, go back inside of you and then for your skin to heal. But, yeah, that's what this thing has. There is another species of frog called the Oten frog, and that's actually a frog that's found in the Ryukyu Islands in southwestern Japan. It's the island chain where Okinawa is. That's remarkable to me that there's these two separate frogs from literally on the opposite sides of the planet, where the hairy frog, the wolverine frog, is in Central Africa, and this Oten frog is in, southwestern Japan, and they both have a very similar one with the bone claw. With the Oten frog, it's more of the, it's a thumb spike. I don't think it's the same exact thing as the hairy frog, but like a similar evolutionary line. That's so fascinating to me. Anyway, that was a long frog fact, it seemed, but yeah, there you go. That's an interesting one. See, we're finding out so many interesting things about frogs. Okay, I gotta get going. Later, everybody. Tekking signing out.